You'll never believe what we found inside these storage units, true stories. Have you ever driven past one of those self-storage facilities on the side of the road? You know, those endless corridors of identical locked orange metal doors? And you ask yourself, what on earth are people keeping in there? Because listen, some things are left in there that should never, ever have been forgotten. Some things, when the door opens after years, after decades, they bring something with them. Something that was waiting. My name is Nick, and I spend far too much time thinking about what really happens when ordinary people open abandoned storage units and find things that completely change their lives. Or worse, end them. If you're someone who lies awake at night wondering what your neighbors are hiding, or who gets that chill down their spine when they walk past a dark storage hallway, hit that subscribe button right now. And leave a like if this video helps you never look at a storage unit the same way again. Because the story I'm about to tell today is real. The names are real. The people are real. And the terror? Oh, the terror is absolutely real. The auction and the chest. Here's the thing. In the United States, when someone stops paying the rent on a storage unit, the company has the legal right to auction off the contents. It's a lucrative business. People buy these units sight unseen, hoping to find antiques, furniture, jewelry, something worth more than the auction price. It's like a macabre lottery. And in August 2010 in Pensacola, Florida, a man named Tom Ricci was about to win the worst prize imaginable. Tom was 52. Gray hair, a beer gut, calloused hands of a hard worker. He wasn't a rich man. He had been buying abandoned storage units for about 3 years, reselling the contents at flea markets and on eBay. It was how he paid the bills after losing his construction job during the 2008 crisis. That August morning, hot and humid as only Florida knows how to be, Tom was in the parking lot of AAA Storage, a medium-sized facility on State Road 29. About 15 people were there. Bargain hunters, resellers, people like him. The auctioneer, a thin man named Dave with a megaphone, was opening unit after unit. The rule is simple. You can look from the outside, but you can't go in or touch anything. You bid based on what you can see. Unit C24. Dave shouted. Rent overdue 18 months. Last chance before we open it. Tom walked closer. He looked. The unit was relatively large, about 10 feet by 16 feet. It was packed to the ceiling. Stacked cardboard boxes. An old couch covered with a sheet. A few suitcases. An old refrigerator. And in the back, partially covered by a black tarp, something that looked like a wooden chest. Beautiful. Tom thought, that chest could be worth something. Bid started low. $50. $75. $100. Tom raised his hand. $150. Silence. Sold to the gentleman in the blue cap. Dave announced. Tom signed the papers, got the new padlock and keys. The unit was now his. He had 72 hours to empty everything. Now you might be thinking, Nick, this seems normal. Where's the terror? Look, this is where it gets really interesting. The scratching and the discovery. Tom returned the next day with his 1998 Ford pickup and a dozen industrial trash bags. It was late afternoon, around 5:30 p.m. The Florida sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows between the metal corridors. He parked in front of Unit C24, turned the key in the new padlock, and lifted the metal door with a loud squeak that echoed down the empty corridor. The smell was the first thing that hit him. It wasn't the smell of death, not exactly. It was mildew. Something old and sealed. Like basement air mixed with something sickly sweet and rotten he couldn't identify. Tom grabbed a flashlight from the truck, the corridor lights were weak, and started exploring. The first boxes held common things. Old women's clothes, medium size. Some romance novels. Framed photos of a blonde woman in her 40s, smiling on beaches, in parks, at restaurants. Always alone. Never with other people. Strange, Tom thought. Who takes photos alone all the time? He continued. He found the refrigerator. It was unplugged, obviously, but had something inside. Tom hesitated. Abandoned fridges can contain anything. He opened it. Just water bottles. About 20 bottles of mineral water, all without labels. Some still had water inside, others were empty. Tom picked one up, turned it, held it against the light. The water had a slightly yellowish color. He put it back and closed the fridge. That's when he heard it. A sound, coming from inside the unit, from the back, where the chest was. Scratching, like a fingernail on wood. Tom froze. His breath caught in his throat. "Hello?" he called out. His voice sounded pathetic and scared, even to his own ears. Silence. "Must be a rat," he muttered to himself. "Just a rat." But rats don't make long, deliberate scratches on wood. They make fast, frantic sounds. The sound was slow. Tom took a deep breath. "You're being ridiculous, man. You're 52. It's a rat." He pushed forward, moving boxes aside, pulling away the black tarp. The chest was there. It was beautiful, really. Dark wood, probably mahogany or oak, with intricate carvings on the lid. Bronze latches on both sides. It looked over 100 years old. Tom smiled. "This thing will get me $500 easy." He put his hands on the side handles and pulled. Heavy. Very heavy. He dragged the chest closer to the entrance where there was more light. He tried to open it. Locked. The bronze latches were firm. Tom thought about prying it open right there but decided to take it home. He could open it calmly, clean it, take better photos to list online. He spent the next 90 minutes loading boxes and furniture into the truck. He left the chest for last. With great effort, he managed to push it into the truck bed. As he was closing the unit door for the last time that day, he looked back. On the floor of the now empty unit, where the chest had been, there were marks on the concrete. Scratches. Long, deep. As if something had tried to get out of there. The 3:17 a.m. awakening. Tom lived alone in a rented 2-bedroom house on the outskirts of Pensacola. Divorced 6 years, no children. The nearest neighbors were about 100 yards away. He unloaded the chest in the garage, which also served as his temporary warehouse for the items he bought at auctions. There were stacks of boxes, old furniture, a broken exercise bike. It was night when he finished. He was exhausted. He showered, ate a cold sandwich, and went to sleep. At 3:17 a.m. he woke up. Something woke him. A sound, coming from the garage. Look, there's something about sounds at night that our primitive brain instinctively understands. During the day, our rational brain explains everything. Oh, it's just the wind. It's the house settling. It's an animal. But at 3 in the morning, when you wake up in the dark and hear something that shouldn't be there, your brain knows. It knows something is wrong. Tom lay still, breathing shallowly, eyes wide in the dark. The sound continued. Scratching. On wood. Long, deliberate. Coming from the garage. Coming from the chest. "No," Tom whispered into the darkness. "No, no, no." He lay there for 10 minutes. 15. The sound stopped. Tom didn't sleep again that night. Inside the chest, the black-eyed dolls. The next morning, with sunlight streaming through the garage windows, Tom felt ridiculous. "You're getting paranoid, old man," he said out loud to himself. "It's just rats." Or the wood of the chest adjusting to the temperature. He decided to open the chest immediately. Take what was inside, sell it or throw it away and get rid of the thing. Tom grabbed a crowbar from the tool bench and knelt beside the chest. The bronze latches were old but strong. He wedged the crowbar into the gap between the lid and the base. He applied force. The left latch broke with a metallic snap. More force. The right latch gave way. Tom held the chest lid. He took a deep breath and opened it. Inside the chest were dolls. About 15, maybe 20 old porcelain dolls. The kind you see in antique shops. Pale faces, glass eyes, Victorian dresses in lace and velvet. All of them were positioned, not randomly tossed. positioned, some sitting, some lying down, some standing, leaning on each other, and all of them had their eyes painted black, not the original glass eyes. Someone had painted over the eyes with thick black paint. Empty eyes. Dead eyes. Tom felt his stomach churn. "What the hell is this?" he muttered. But there was more. Under the dolls, wrapped in a black cloth, was a book. Tom moved the dolls aside. His fingers touching the cold porcelain made him shiver, and pulled out the book. It was old. The cover was worn leather with no title. He opened it. Pages and pages of handwritten script. Tiny, cramped handwriting, some parts in English, others in something else. Latin, maybe? He didn't know. And drawings. Diagrams. Circles within circles. Symbols that looked like runes or hieroglyphs. And photos. Polaroid photos tucked between the pages. Tom pulled one out. It was a photo of the blonde woman he had seen in the framed pictures in the storage unit. But in this photo, she was sitting on the floor of a dark room, surrounded by candles. And the dolls were around her. The same dolls. With the black painted eyes. She was smiling. But it wasn't a normal smile. It was a smile that was too wide. Eyes that were too wide. Tom felt bile rise in his throat. He turned more pages. More photos. The woman in different positions. Always with the dolls. Always with the candles. In one photo she had cuts on her arms. In another there was blood on the wall behind her forming symbols. And then he found a page that was marked with a red ribbon. On the page was written in large, shaky letters. "They told me if I stop, they will take me. If someone opens the chest, they will take that person in my place. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." The phrase, "I'm so sorry," was repeated about 50 times, covering the entire page. Tom dropped the book as if it were burning him. The warning and the ritual. Now you might be thinking, "Nick, this is just a disturbed person. A mentally troubled woman. Nothing supernatural." And look, I understand your skepticism. I really do. But here's what most people don't realize. Madness and the supernatural are not mutually exclusive. Because what happened in the following days cannot be explained by rationality. Tom should have taken the chest and all the contents to the police right then. He should have called someone. But he didn't. Part of him was still thinking about the value. Old porcelain dolls can be worth money. The chest itself was worth money. And calling the police would mean losing everything, answering questions, possibly being investigated. So he did what many foolish men do. He rationalized. "It's just a crazy lady who liked dolls," he told himself. "She's probably institutionalized somewhere now. Or dead. It's not my problem." He closed the chest, pushed it into the corner of the garage and covered it with a tarp. That night the scratching started again. 3:17 a.m. Exactly the same time. But this time, it was louder. Tom got out of bed, turned on all the lights in the house. He went to the garage. He stopped at the door. The tarp had been pulled off. The chest was partially exposed. And the lid was open. Just a few inches. As if something was trying to climb out. Tom felt his blood run cold. "I locked that thing," he whispered. "I locked it." He approached slowly. He pushed the lid down hard. He heard the click of the broken latches trying to engage. Then he pushed a heavy box on top of the chest. Then another. And another. "Stay inside whatever you are," he said, his voice trembling. He went back inside the house. He didn't sleep. The next morning the boxes were on the floor. Scattered. As if they had been pushed off from inside the chest. And the lid was open again. But now, one of the dolls was outside. Sitting. Upright. On the garage floor. Facing the door. The black painted eyes seemed to follow Tom as he approached. He picked up the doll. The porcelain was ice cold. Too cold to have been in a Florida garage in August. That's when he saw it. The doll had something in its small porcelain hand. A note. Yellowed, folded paper. Tom unfolded it with trembling fingers. The same handwriting from the book. You opened it. Now they know where you are. Tom Ricci was not a superstitious man. He was raised in a Catholic family, yes, but he stopped going to church decades ago. He believed in hard work, cold beer, and football on Sundays. But now, he was terrified. He did what anyone in the internet age would do. He searched. He typed into Google, "porcelain dolls black eyes ritual." The results were disturbing. There were forums. Entire communities dedicated to the occult, to witchcraft, to dark practices. And there were mentions of something called passage dolls. Tom clicked on a post from a forum called Occult History Net. The post was from a user named Midnight Maria 88. Read: passage dolls are used in transfer rituals. The idea is that you can transfer a curse, an entity, or even a spiritual debt onto another person through objects. The dolls serve as temporary vessels. You prepare the dolls with specific rituals, paint the eyes black to blind their original spirits and allow external entities to possess them. Then you wait. You wait until someone opens the vessel. When that happens, the transfer is automatic. The entity goes to the one who opened it. Tom felt his heart pound. He kept reading. There was more. If you have been marked by a passage doll, the signs are clear. Nocturnal scratching, objects moving on their own, the sensation of being constantly watched. The entity is familiarizing itself with you. You have about 7 days before complete possession or something worse. 7 days, Tom whispered. How long has it been? He counted. Since he first opened the chest, 3 days. 4 remained. Tom kept researching. He found articles about the woman who had rented Unit C-24. Her name was Jennifer Corbett, 42 years old. Missing since March 2009, 18 months before the auction. There was an article from the Pensacola News Journal from April 2009. Local authorities seek missing woman. Jennifer Corbett, 42, was last seen on March 12, 2009, leaving her residence in Pensacola. Coworkers report that Corbett had become increasingly reclusive in the months leading up to her disappearance. Her family has not had contact with her for over a year. Any information should be reported to Pensacola police. There was a photo of Jennifer, the same blonde woman from the pictures in the storage unit. But in this official photo, likely from a work ID, she looked normal. Slight smile. Kind eyes. Tom found more articles. One from 2010. Search for missing woman is closed. After more than a year of investigations, Pensacola police have officially closed the search for Jennifer Corbett. With no evidence of foul play or signs of life, the case remains open but inactive. She simply vanished. Tom went back to the forum. He posted his own message describing everything: the auction, the chest, the dolls, the book, the scratching. He waited. 15 minutes later, he received a private message from Midnight Maria 88. You need to perform the reverse ritual. Now, before it's too late. I will send you the instructions. But you need a few things: coarse salt, white candles, blood your own, and the dolls. All of them. You need to return what is not yours. Tom didn't know if he believed in rituals. But at this point he was willing to try anything. He went to an esoteric shop in downtown Pensacola. The woman behind the counter, a lady in her 60s with gray hair and reading glasses hanging from her neck, looked at Tom's list and frowned. Reversal ritual? She asked. Tom nodded. The woman studied him for a long moment. You messed with something you shouldn't have, didn't you? Tom didn't answer. She sighed. All right. Not my business. She began to gather the items: a bag of coarse salt, 7 white candles, a small silver ritual knife, a thin book on protection rituals. This here, she said, tapping the book, has basic instructions. But I'll give you a piece of advice for free. Whatever entity you're dealing with, it won't want to leave easily. These things never do. Prepare for a fight. Tom paid. He drove home. The swamp and the silence. That night, The fourth night since he opened the chest, he prepared everything in the garage. Following the instructions from Midnight Maria 88 and the book he bought, he drew a salt circle on the garage floor large enough for him in the chest. Placed the 7 white candles around the circle, forming a star pattern. Opened the chest and placed all the dolls inside the circle, positioned around him. Used the silver knife to make a small cut on his left palm. He let 3 drops of blood fall into the center of the circle. It was midnight when he finished preparing. The instructions said to start the ritual at 3 a.m., their hour, as the text put it. Tom sat on the floor outside the circle. He waited. The house was absolutely silent. No crickets. No wind. Nothing. At 2:45 a.m. he started to hear it. Footsteps. Inside the house. Light. Like bare feet on wood. But they weren't coming from any specific direction. They came from above. From below. From the walls. Tom was paralyzed. He gripped the silver knife tightly. At 2:55 a.m., the dolls began to move. Not much. Just adjustments. A head turning a few degrees. An arm moving to a different position. Tom watched, horror growing in his chest. At exactly 3 a.m., all the candles went out at the same time. And Tom heard a voice. Not coming from outside him. Coming from inside his own head. A feminine voice. Soft. Almost gentle. "Why are you trying to send us back?" the voice asked. Tom couldn't answer. His throat was closed. "We like you, Tom. You set us free. Now we can stay." "No," Tom finally managed to whisper. "Get out. Get out of me. Get out of my house." The voice laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a laugh of pity, of cruel amusement. "Oh, Tom, you don't understand. Jennifer tried to send us back too. Many times. But we don't want to go. It is so cold where we came from. So empty. Here it is warm. Here there is life." The candles lit themselves. All at once. But the flames were blue. The dolls were all standing now, looking at Tom. "But don't worry," the voice continued. "We won't hurt you. We're just going to stay. Inside you. With you. Forever." Tom screamed. He grabbed the silver knife and slashed the air in front of him, as if he could cut the voice, the presence. Then he did the one thing the instructions said to do if the ritual failed. He broke the salt circle. He threw coarse salt at the dolls. He picked up each one and smashed them against the concrete floor. The porcelain shattered into hundreds of pieces. He didn't stop until all 15 dolls were destroyed. He gathered the pieces, threw everything back into the chest, closed the lid, and locked it with chains he had in the garage. Then he tied the chest to the truck bed. It was 4 a.m. when he drove out. Tom Ricci drove east. Away from Pensacola. Away from any inhabited place. He knew a spot. An old swamp near the Alabama border. He used to fish there sometimes when he was younger. It was remote. No one went there. He arrived as the sun was starting to rise. The sky had that pink-orange color that only exists at dawn. Tom drove his pickup as far as he could on a dirt road. Then he stopped. He dragged the chest from the truck bed. It seemed heavier now. Much heavier. He reached the edge of the swamp. The water was dark. Dark green. You couldn't see the bottom. Tom pushed the chest. It slid down the muddy bank and hit the water with a muffled splash. For a moment, the chest floated. It just floated there as if deciding whether to sink or not. Tom watched, his breath held. Then, slowly, the chest began to sink. Dark water began to cover the wood. More. And then it disappeared. Bubbles rose to the surface for a few seconds. Then, nothing. Tom stood there for 10 minutes. 15. Just looking at the water. Then he got back in the truck and drove home. The patience of the unnatural. Tom Ricci sold the house in Pensacola 3 months later. He moved north. To Georgia. He started over. He got a job at a hardware store. He stopped buying storage units. He stopped going to auctions. He never told anyone about the chest. About the dolls. About Jennifer Corbett. And for 2 years, nothing happened. No nocturnal scratching. No voices. No moving dolls. Tom started to think he had escaped, that the swamp had held whatever was in that chest. But here's what most people don't realize about entities, about curses, about things that don't fully belong to our world. They have patience. Patience that human beings cannot comprehend. In October 2012, Tom was watching TV at his house in Georgia. It was a normal Friday night. He had bought pizza. He was having a beer. His phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Hello. Static. Then, a voice. Feminine. Distant. As if coming from very far away. Tom? He hung up immediately. Heart pounding. The phone rang again. Same number. He didn't answer. It rang 6 times. Then it stopped. Tom didn't sleep that night. The next morning there was a box on his front porch. A cardboard box. Small. No return address. Tom opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a piece of porcelain. A piece of a doll's face. With a black painted eye. And a note. You can't get rid of us. We always come back. Tom Ricci disappeared in November 2012. His coworkers at the hardware store noticed when he didn't show up for his shift. They called. Nothing. They went to his house the next day. The front door was unlocked. Inside, the house was intact. No signs of struggle. No signs of forced entry. The TV was still on. The previous night's pizza was still on the table, half eaten. But Tom? Gone. The police investigated. They found nothing. No leads. No body. No motive. The case was filed as missing person, investigation ongoing. But here's the part that keeps me up at night. In 2015, 3 years after Tom's disappearance, there was another abandoned storage unit auction. This time in Mobile, Alabama. About 90 miles from where Tom had sunk the chest in the swamp. A man named David Chin bought a unit. Unit B17. David was a reseller just like Tom had been. When he opened the unit, he found something familiar. A dark wooden chest. Mahogany or oak. With intricate carvings. Bronze latches. The wood had green stains. Like algae. As if it had been submerged in water for a long time. David didn't know the story. How could he? He took the chest home. 3 days later, the scratching started. The terrifying truth. You want to know what I think really happened? I think Jennifer Corbett found something. Or something found her. Something ancient. Something that was looking for a home. A warm body. A mind to inhabit. She tried to pass it on. She used the rituals. The dolls. The chest. She thought that if someone opened it, it would be transferred. And it worked. For a time. But these things, they learn. They evolve. They adapt. The chest wasn't a prison. It was a door. And every time someone opened it, the door got wider. Jennifer vanished. Tom vanished. And David Chin? Well, in 2016 he vanished too. The pattern continues. The chest keeps showing up. At auctions. In abandoned storage units. Always different enough not to arouse suspicion. Always the same on the inside. Because here's the terrifying truth. You can't destroy something that doesn't completely belong to our world. You can drive it away. Bury it. Drown it. But it always finds a way back. And it's always looking for someone new. The warning. If you ever go to an abandoned storage unit auction, if you see a chest, dark wood, with intricate carvings, bronze latches, do not buy it. Do not open it. Do not touch it. Because some auctions aren't selling forgotten treasures. They're selling curses with new victims. And the question isn't whether the chest will find you. The question is, will you recognize it in time? My name is Nick, and I spend too much time thinking about what really hides behind those orange metal doors. Because now you know, sometimes what's hidden wants to be found. If you like this story, or if it's left you completely disturbed and you won't be able to sleep tonight, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone you think needs to hear this. And the next time you drive past a self-storage facility, maybe speed up a little. Maybe don't look too closely at those locked doors, because you never know what's waiting on the other side, waiting for you. This story was based on unconfirmed reports of disappearances in Pensacola, Florida, and Mobile, Alabama between 2009 to 2016. Names may have been changed. The facts? Well, the facts speak for themselves. Sleep tight.